Men, one of the most powerful tools women use when they're hiding something significant, whether it's another man in her life, a secret exit plan, or an entire double life running parallel to your relationship, isn't sophisticated lying or elaborate cover stories. It's strategic avoidance. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and hit the hype by dropping a comment if you've ever brought up something serious or asked a simple question and watched her instantly change the topic or get defensive. Your story might save another man from months of deception. Conversation 1. The "where were you?" question. When a woman has absolutely nothing to hide, when her activities are innocent, and her time is spent in ways she's comfortable sharing with you, this question is remarkably easy to answer. She provides straightforward information, without hesitation, without needing to think carefully about her response, without any visible stress or discomfort. The answer flows naturally, because truth requires no construction, no careful editing, no mental calculation about what's safe to reveal. But if she's lying about where she's been, if her activities involve people or places she can't tell you about, if her timeline contains gaps she needs to conceal, watch what happens when you ask this simple question. She'll deflect with humor, turning your question into a joke to avoid answering it directly. She'll provide extremely vague responses that technically answer while revealing nothing. "Oh, just out," or "running errands," or "meeting a friend," without any specifics. She might even turn the question back on you aggressively. "Why do you need to know?" Or "What, are you tracking me now?" Or "Why don't you tell me where you were?" Female psychology reveals that deflection in response to straightforward questions is fundamentally a stress response. She's operating under significant fear that providing too many details could unravel her entire story. Each detail she provides is a potential thread you could pull, a fact you could verify, a claim that might contradict something else she said. The safest strategy from her perspective is to provide as little information as possible while making you feel inappropriate for asking. Watch specifically for vague answers that sound like answers but contain no actual information. Notice sudden irritation at the question itself, as if asking where your partner was is somehow unreasonable or controlling rather than normal relationship communication. Pay attention to whether she volunteers information naturally about her day, or if information only comes out through direct questioning that she clearly resents. The contrast between how she used to communicate about her activities and how she communicates now reveals whether something fundamental has changed in what she's doing with her time. The deflection often comes with an emotional component designed to make you back off. She might seem hurt that you don't trust her, angry that you're questioning her, or dismissive as if your concern is beneath her dignity to address. These emotional responses serve a purpose. They make you less likely to ask follow-up questions or press for details because you don't want to deal with her reaction. Over time, you learn to stop asking, which gives her complete freedom to do whatever she wants with whoever she wants without any accountability. Conversation 2. Future plans together. A woman who is genuinely emotionally invested in you and your relationship together naturally wants to discuss shared goals, shared dreams, and shared futures. She enjoys talking about trips you might take together, homes you might buy, life milestones you'll experience as a couple, where you see yourselves in 5 years, what your life together might look like. These conversations excite her because she sees you as a permanent part of her future, and planning that future together feels good. If she suddenly starts avoiding this entire category of conversation, if she shuts down discussions about future plans, if she constantly deflects with phrases like, "Let's not plan too far ahead," or "We'll figure it out later," or "Why do we need to talk about this now?" or "Let's just focus on the present," that avoidance carries significant meaning. It's a clear sign that she's keeping her options open, that she's not certain you'll be in her future, that she may already be considering or actively planning alternatives that don't include you. Female psychology shows us that distancing from future-oriented conversations often indicates she's already exploring other possibilities, either mentally or actually. If she's considering leaving, if she's developing feelings for someone else, if she's planning an exit strategy, committing to future plans with you becomes psychologically uncomfortable. She can't authentically discuss a future she's not sure she wants or doesn't believe will happen. So she avoids these conversations entirely, rather than either lying about plans she won't keep or revealing that she's not as invested as she should be. Notice the timing of this avoidance. Did she used to enjoy planning and dreaming together? Did future conversations used to be normal parts of your relationship? If this avoidance represents a change from previous patterns, if enthusiasm about your future together has been replaced by discomfort or deflection, something has fundamentally shifted in how she views the relationship and your place in her life. Also, watch for whether the avoidance is complete or selective. Does she avoid all future planning, or does she avoid plans beyond a certain time frame? If she's willing to make plans for next month but refuses to discuss anything beyond 3 to 6 months, that timeline likely corresponds to when she's planning to exit or when she expects circumstances to change. The boundary of her planning horizon reveals the boundary of her commitment to the relationship. This avoidance often coincides with other distancing behaviors: less physical affection, less emotional availability, less interest in your life, more time spent away or on her phone. When taken together, these signs paint a picture of someone who has mentally and emotionally begun checking out of the relationship, even if they haven't physically left yet. The avoidance of future planning is simply the most concrete manifestation of that internal detachment. Conversation 3. Her past relationships. Most people in healthy relationships share at least some information about their relationship history with their partners. Not every intimate detail necessarily, but general information about past relationships, how long they lasted, why they ended, what was learned, patterns that developed. This sharing helps partners understand each other better, provides context for current behaviors or triggers, and builds intimacy through vulnerability about past experiences. If every single time you ask about her past relationships, she gets noticeably defensive, abruptly changes the subject, provides only surface-level answers that reveal nothing substantive, or accuses you of being jealous or insecure for asking, pay very close attention to that pattern. This consistent avoidance suggests she's hiding patterns she desperately doesn't want you to know about. Patterns like repeated cheating across multiple relationships, a long-term situationship or affair that never truly ended and might still be active, relationship overlap, where she was with you before her previous relationship actually ended, or behavior patterns that would make you see her differently if you knew about them. The avoidance here is fundamentally about controlling your perception of her character and protecting the image she wants you to believe in. If you knew she cheated in her last 3 relationships, you'd watch her behavior much more carefully. If you knew she maintained contact with exes inappropriately, you'd pay attention to who she's texting. If you knew she had a pattern of overlapping relationships or staying with backup partners while pursuing new options, you'd recognize that pattern potentially playing out with you. Female psychology on impression management shows that people actively work to control what their partners know about their history, specifically when that history would create suspicion or change the partner's level of trust. If her past relationships ended for reasons that would reflect poorly on her character, she has strong motivation to keep you from knowing those reasons. The details she withholds are the details that would help you predict her future behavior most accurately. Notice not just that she avoids these conversations, but how she avoids them. Does she get angry and accuse you of living in the past? Does she claim that past relationships are irrelevant to your current relationship? Does she suggest that asking about her history means you don't trust her. These responses are designed to make you feel guilty for asking normal questions that partners typically answer without this level of defensiveness. The guilt keeps you from asking again, which keeps her secrets safe. Also pay attention to inconsistencies in the limited information she does provide. If details change when she mentions past relationships at different times, if her story about why a relationship ended shifts, if she contradicts herself about timeline or circumstances, those inconsistencies suggest she's constructing a narrative rather than reporting history. Truth is consistent because it actually happened. Lies require maintenance and often develop inconsistencies over time. Conversation for 4. Her male friends. One of the biggest and most reliable indicators of hidden behavior is specifically how she reacts when you ask about other men in her life, particularly men she spends time with, communicates with regularly, or mentions in passing. In healthy relationships with clear boundaries, these conversations happen naturally. She volunteers information about friends. You meet her friends. She's comfortable discussing friendships without defensiveness because there's nothing inappropriate happening. If she systematically avoids naming specific male friends, refuses to share any real details about these relationships when asked, gets immediately defensive or accusatory when you express interest in knowing more, or calls you insecure or controlling for even asking basic questions about men in her life, that avoidance pattern is not normal and not innocent. It's a clear sign that these relationships contain elements she can't tell you about without revealing inappropriate intimacy, emotional affairs, or worse. Female psychology demonstrates that when a woman is emotionally or physically involved with someone else, she will often hide that person in plain sight by refusing to discuss them at all. She might mention a name casually once or twice to establish that this person exists in her life, but then becomes remarkably evasive any time you try to learn more. Who is he? How do they know each other? What do they do together? Why does he text so much? These basic questions that should have simple answers instead trigger disproportionate reactions. Watch for the tactics she uses to shut down these conversations. She might minimize the relationship. He's just a co-worker, or we barely even talk, while her phone shows she's messaging this person constantly. She might redirect blame onto you. Why are you so obsessed with my friends? Or, your jealousy is really unattractive. She might refuse to answer at all, treating your questions as so unreasonable they don't deserve responses. All of these tactics serve the same purpose, preventing you from learning information that would reveal the true nature of her relationship with this other man. The avoidance is particularly revealing when it's selective. She'll talk openly about some friends, but goes silent about specific others. She's comfortable with you meeting certain people in her life, but never suggests you meet this particular person. She shares information about most areas of her life, but maintains a complete information blackout around certain individuals. That selective secrecy tells you exactly where the inappropriate behavior is occurring. Conversation 10. Her feelings about the relationship. When something feels wrong in a relationship, when needs aren't being met, when emotional distance has developed, when concerns have arisen, emotionally honest partners discuss these issues. They initiate conversations about what's bothering them. They respond to your concerns with genuine engagement. They participate in working through difficulties together. This willingness to communicate about relationship dynamics is fundamental to maintaining and strengthening the partnership. But if she's emotionally checked out of the relationship, if she's planning an exit, if she's already investing her emotional energy elsewhere with someone else, she will systematically shut down any attempts to have genuine conversations about feelings or relationship health. She'll respond to your concern with dismissive phrases like, "I don't want to talk about this now," or "Why are you overthinking everything?" or "You're making problems where there aren't any," or "Can we not do this?" These responses close the conversation without addressing anything you raised. That avoidance itself is a major red flag. It reveals that not only is she hiding how she really feels about the relationship, but she's likely already emotionally investing elsewhere, and doesn't want to have honest conversations with you that might interfere with whatever she's developing with someone else. If she acknowledged dissatisfaction, she'd need to either work on the relationship with you or leave honestly. Neither option serves her interests if she wants to maintain you as security while exploring other options. Female psychology on relationship disengagement shows that avoidance of emotionally substantive conversations is often a sign that someone has mentally ended the relationship already, even if they haven't communicated that decision or physically left yet. They're still present in practical ways, sharing space and going through routines, but they're emotionally absent and actively resistant to any attempt to bridge that emotional distance through conversation. Watch for how she handles your attempts to discuss concerns. Does she postpone indefinitely, "Not now, I'm tired," every single time? Does she minimize your concerns, "You're being dramatic," or "It's not that serious"? Does she turn your concerns into attacks on you, "You're too needy," or "You're always complaining"? These responses serve to punish you for trying to have important conversations, training you through negative reinforcement to stop bringing up relationship issues. The avoidance creates a particularly painful dynamic where you sense something is wrong. You feel the distance growing, you notice her investment declining, but you can't discuss any of it because she refuses to engage. You're left alone with your concerns while she continues whatever she's doing that's creating those concerns. The conversation avoidance maintains the status quo that serves her interests while leaving you confused, frustrated, and unable to address real problems that are destroying the relationship from within. Closing and final thoughts. Summary. Avoiding. Where were you? Questions with deflection and vagueness, shutting down conversations about future plans together, refusing to discuss past relationship patterns, going silent about male friends in her life, and blocking attempts to talk about relationship feelings. These aren't random communication difficulties or temporary stress responses. They're strategic avoidance patterns that emerge when someone is hiding significant truth they know would change everything if revealed. Female psychology proves that avoidance can be more revealing than lies, because lies require active construction and maintenance, while avoidance simply requires redirecting conversation away from dangerous territory. When multiple types of conversations that used to be normal suddenly become off-limits, when entire categories of communication get shut down systematically, you're watching someone actively manage information flow to keep you from discovering what they're hiding. Final call to action. If this breakdown helped you recognize avoidance patterns you've been experiencing but couldn't name, smash that like button, subscribe for more insights into female psychology and relationship dynamics, and drop a comment sharing which conversations she avoids most consistently. Your awareness of avoidance patterns is power. Once you recognize that refusing to talk is itself a form of communication, you understand exactly what message that silence is sending.